Welcome to the Candle Business Coach Podcast, a show about the craft of candle making and small business. I'm your host, Kirsty and I'm a candle maker, mum of 3 and kindness advocator. Join me as I dive into all things candles and small business and deliver advice and tips to you in episodes every Tuesday and Friday. Are you on the list to get my daily motivation emails? Every day I'll send you a message that is designed to help keep you focused on taking action toward your goals. Sign up using the link in the show notes. Hello, my friend. I hope you are well and welcome to the very first episode of the Candle Business Coach podcast. I am so excited that you're here and that you chose to spend the next little while with me. Before we get into all the topics that I want to cover every Tuesday and Friday when new episodes are released, I thought today it would be nice just to chat a little bit about my backstory, pre-candle making, how I got started with my candle business, and I definitely wanted to share some advice and tips for your benefit sprinkled in along the way. So, who am I? Where am I from? And what's the deal? Well, I guess I should start from the very beginning. I was born on a winter's day back in... Just kidding. I'm not going to go into that much detail. In case you missed it in the intro, my name is Kirsty. I'm a mum of 3 beautiful children, aged 8, 6 and 6 months old. I'm from regional Victoria in Australia. And I've had various jobs over the years, including working in a bakery during high school, moving on to waitressing while studying at TAFE. What was next? I worked at the Department of Justice after I graduated. And then after about 5 years, I completely pivoted and studied massage therapy before starting my own massage business. That didn't last too long. So I pivoted again to work in a charity and then later another not-for-profit organisation. So technically, I'm currently on maternity leave from my role in admin, but I thought, hey, why not launch a podcast and start a new business while on maternity leave? As I mentioned, my baby is 6 months old, but he's an easy baby, so I'm able to juggle taking care of him and running things and organising things and doing things in and amongst his nap times, and that's actually what he's doing right now. He's having a sleep in the other room. So I guess you're probably wondering, based on all of that, how did we end up here, sitting here recording a podcast about candle making so that I can help others start their journey too? Well, I guess for me, it was when I was a child, I was always mesmerized by candles and how the beautiful glow and scent has the ability to invoke different emotions and memories. But even though I've always loved candles, it never actually crossed my mind to pursue the art of making them or making a business out of them until one day I simply decided that I wanted to learn how to make my own candles. It feels like it was just yesterday, but a bit of time has passed between that day and now. I remember thinking to myself that this will be lots of fun, and I was so keen to learn everything I could about the craft of candle making. I absorbed so many YouTube videos and tutorials online, and the excitement and motivation was really high. Like, there was so much to learn, but there was also so much to learn. And it's been a roller coaster of emotions and thoughts and feelings since the beginning. Basically, who knew that starting a small business would involve personal development as well as learning the craft of candle making and all the things that come with running a business as well? So when I think back on what my candle journey has been like since I began, there's been a lot of up and downs. It hasn't been consistent sales the whole way through, but that's quite common and not something to be worried about. But I think it's important when you look back to think about sort of what wins you've had along the way as well as the challenges. So for me, just a few of the big wins that I've had in my business was when I got a lucrative contract for a large event where I made over 200 candles as gifts for the conference attendees with my branding on the candles. That was a huge win and something that I'm still very grateful for. The process involved in setting up my website. If you've ever set up a website or if you're yet to do it, you'll soon discover that it does take a lot of time, energy, a little bit of money as well. So there is an investment, but when it's done and you can, scroll the pages of your website and see what you've created and all the beautiful products that are for sale, it's really quite humbling and quite amazing. I've loved connecting with the incredible suppliers, from the candle jars to the wicks and the wax. There are some incredible people that are doing amazing things in the candle industry. So getting to meet those people both in person and chatting over the phone and email has been definitely a win. Making friends has been awesome. Every sale and customer has been a blessing. I particularly like the sales that come from strangers over the internet, especially interstate ones, because you think, wow, like you don't even know me, and out of all the candle businesses, you've chosen to purchase one of my products, and it's quite a lovely feeling when that happens. Another win was when I connected in with the Victorian government. They had an incentive to help small business owners, and from that I was able to attend some webinars, do some short courses, and actually meet some people along the way who are in different industries but are just as passionate about what they're doing as I am with candle making and running my own candle business. So when you're standing in the light of someone who is living their passion, you can't help but just feel that warmth and experience motivation regenerate within yourself, because they're excited about what they do, you're excited about what you do. And it's just, it's incredible when those two worlds collide. So I guess those are the biggest wins I've had. Some other ones that I want to mention was when my store was accepted into an online Australian wholesaler website. That was huge. I've run market stalls. Those have been successful. But for me, really the best thing has been meeting incredible people, and the opportunities that have opened up for me have been certainly just amazing. Like I look back at my journey and I think, wow, like I'm so grateful. I'm so blessed for where I've been and where I am now, and the journey from then to now. So it's pretty awesome. So I guess on the flip side, it's important to talk about the challenges as well and some struggles that I've had. So even though this is the first episode that you're hearing, it's not actually the first episode that I've recorded. A couple of days ago, and if you follow me on Instagram at Candle Business Coach, you'll see, or you would have seen that I interviewed so far 2 people that will be appearing on the podcast. So actually just a small tangent. So with the podcast, I'm planning to release episodes twice a week, one on a Tuesday and one on a Friday. On the Tuesday, it'll be solo episodes where I get to chat to you and answer your questions, which you can submit to me via DM on Instagram. Or just talking about a topic that I think that you would benefit from. But on the Fridays, what I'm hoping to, I'm starting and I'm hoping to continue, is to interview different people. So fellow candle makers, business people that are in the candle industry, and also just small business owners as well that I think would benefit from a conversation and that you would really love to hear. So just backtracking. Now where was I? Oh, I'm so excited. I just can't even remember where I was. So yes, challenges. That's what I was talking about. So some of the challenges that have come up for me, I'm finding as I'm talking to other people, not just in the podcast, but just in general, is something that we all struggle with. And I think it's important to speak about what's actually real in your life. And share where you're at, the struggles that you might be facing, because a lot of people will resonate with that. So I wanted to chat about a couple of the challenges that I've had on my journey so far. So number one, first and foremost, the self-doubt, the anxiety, the imposter syndrome, very real, very prevalent in my mind, but it varies from day to day. So for example, I'm recording this podcast and it's for candle makers, predominantly in Australia because that's where I'm based. But hey, if this little podcast ends up somewhere around the world, please DM me and tell me where you're from, because that would be really cool. But starting a podcast, like I never thought I would have done something like this, but here we are, and I want to make it the best that it can be. But I also am mindful, or I'm aware that the skills and the knowledge and the action that's required to be taken to make a podcast and the equipment and all that sort of stuff, I'm giving it my best as of today. But in a week, a month, a year from now, the podcast will be even better. So knowing that you give your best each day, even though that does vary depending on a variety of factors, you give your best each day, and as you go on, you do get better. So even though those imposter syndrome thoughts have been in my mind, I guess, well, especially for the podcast since the beginning of this starting, but starting my candle journey as well, I think it's just really important to know that everyone struggles with mindset at times, and it's something that you work on and you get better at if you prioritize personal and self-development, which is something that's really important to me. So another challenge that I've gone through with my candle business, other than the mindset side of things, is the practical side. So not getting sales, every day or every week. Sometimes there are lulls in the business. Sometimes you'll set up a market stall and you won't get as many sales to even cover the stall costs. That can be really heartbreaking, because if you've ever done a market, or if you're going to, you'll know that there's a lot of time and effort that goes into that. To then not make any money or to lose money can be quite frustrating. So challenges are something we all go through, and the types of challenges we have will vary depending on, a lot of different things. So I guess for me, wanting to create this episode, I don't want it to be all about me. You've come to this podcast to get practical tips and advice on how to run and grow or start your candle business. So I want to include some advice and tips for new candle makers in this episode as well. First and foremost, enjoy the journey, celebrate the wins, but also learn from the challenges. It's so easy just to rush into all the fun things as part of this business and then not spend as much time working on the business side, for example, like the admin side. So enjoy all aspects of the journey. Don't rush, go at your own pace. I know it's tempting to buy everything straight away and just to get started and to spend hours watching YouTube videos and just completely immersing yourself in the candle world, which, don't get me wrong, is incredible, and you want to nurture that passion and obsession, but don't feel like that you have to be in the same place as someone else that's been doing this for a lot longer, or even a little bit longer than you. Go at your own pace, find your own rhythm, and enjoy the ride, definitely. Make sure you ask questions along the way. So if you're not sure what supplies you're wanting to purchase, you're not sure what your signature range is going to be, for example, speak to the different suppliers, find out answers to your questions. From my experience, suppliers have been incredible at answering emails, or if you go in person, speaking to the owners or the people that work there and ask your questions there. If you can't attend a supplier, like if there's no one local to you, you can also connect in with other candle makers on different Facebook groups, and there are quite a few different groups that you could join. There are a few Australian ones, but also worldwide groups as well. My one caveat would be that you just bear in mind everyone is simply stating their opinions. So and everyone has their own agenda. In saying that, the people in those groups are usually coming from a place of love, a place from their heart. So the advice and tips they give you come with good intention. But just because they say that you need to use a particular wax or a particular wick to find the most success, it's not necessarily the case. It's just what works for them. And also what works for someone else may not work for you. And that's why testing and experimenting is so important when you make candles, as you'll discover along the way. That said, if you have any questions that you're not getting answers to, or you just want to chat, again, message me via DM on Instagram. I'm happy to help you on your journey. And then lastly, just do as much research as you can. But on the flip side, try not to get overwhelmed, which is really hard to manage sometimes because you are so excited by the process and you want to learn as much as you can. One thing I've found, particularly from an Australian perspective, is that I couldn't find any Australian YouTube channels. So I was watching a lot of videos that were based in the US, which run by American candle makers. Incredible what they do. Definitely not saying don't watch those videos. It's more just for me, and this is, I guess, challenge or maybe a mistake that I made, which hopefully that you can learn from, is that I was watching a lot of videos about how to make candles using particular waxes and products that can't be purchased in Australia. So all that knowledge I was consuming, all that information that I was watching, I couldn't actually take action with it. I needed to, literally get up off the couch, go to my local supplier, ask the questions and learn and go from there. So one other tip that I would have if you are at the beginning of your candle making journey is to buy a candle making kit. That way you get all the necessary supplies to get started and you can have a little play and see if this is something that you want to pursue, which hopefully it is, because it is an incredible business, or even just a hobby if you don't want to turn this into a business. So there you go, a little bit about me and my journey through life and through candle making so far. I hope this episode was interesting to listen to. I really appreciate you taking the time to hear my words today as I sit in my bedroom and record this podcast episode. So really, thanks everyone for listening today. I hope this episode added value to your candle making journey. And I'll catch you in the next episode. Check out the show notes for all the links mentioned throughout today's episode. And if you would like to submit a question, send me a DM on Instagram at Candle Business Coach. And if you haven't already, download your free copy of my guide, 5 Simple Steps to Start Your Candle Journey. It contains tips and advice before you make your first candle, and details are in the show notes. Lastly, please subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And thanks again for listening. Have a beautiful day.